It's Thursday, July 24th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central. This is show number 967, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Get a managed WordPress site for just $1 a month for 12 months, and a free domain at GoDaddy, or pick up a domain name for just $1.99. All my specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Hey, folks, got a great show lined up for you here. Beautiful weather here in Hawaii. You guys know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
Or go fly.
Microphone.
Or go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Geek News Central. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran, your host. Glad to be here with you. Hope everyone's doing great out there. I tell you, it's been a great week here in Hawaii. Pretty busy as normal. Well, I got lots of stuff to share with you tonight, but of course, very first thing here, I want to give a warm welcome to all of the longtime listeners and viewers of the show. Thanks for being here. And of course, if you're brand new, we've got a term here called ohana. And ohana in Hawaiian is very, very simply family. So I want to welcome all the new listeners and viewers to the ohana. And one thing you can do to stay connected with the entire audience and with this show is just taking a few steps and getting subscribed to the show. You can do that by going over to geeknewscentral.com and subscribing to the show via iTunes or use BeyondPod if you're an Android user. Definitely want you to get subscribed to the show that you never miss a single episode. And definitely set iTunes, or if you're using the iPhone and you have the podcast app, set it up so that it will download everything automatically. And if you miss a few shows, don't delay in getting them download and be able to have them available for you to watch or listen. Of course, you want to sign up for the newsletter, and you'll find information on that on the homepage as well. And basically, when you sign up for the newsletter, what happens is I'm able to send out an email immediately following the show that has a link, number one, to the audio file, has basically all the links to all the content that I'm going to cover during tonight's show. And then you'll get that in your inbox as a reminder that there's a new show out. I do the show every Monday and Thursday night, and have been here 9+ years doing this show. We're fast approaching show 1000, which I believe will hit sometime in mid-October if I don't miss any episodes. But definitely want to encourage you, if you need to reach out to me via email, it's great at geeknews@gmail.com. You can also reach me on Twitter at Geek News. Follow the Facebook page, Google+. We're really everywhere social media is, but definitely we want you to come over to the main website at geeknewscentral.com. You can also watch the show on the Tech Podcast channel on the Roku, on the Boxy, Samsung's, now we call Android Fire phone. I think that's what they call it. And so you can really watch or listen really almost on any piece of glass or device. And we definitely want you to stay in touch with us. And your feedback is always welcome. Of course, tonight's show is sponsored in part by our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy's been a sponsor here for a long time. And actually, I had a meeting with the GoDaddy folks today. GoDaddy has been doing a series of hangouts. They have some new areas, and I don't know if I'm actually supposed to advertise this. Let's see if I and I haven't, since the meeting, I hadn't had time to go over and look at what they were talking about. But they've got an area, I think I could talk about this. It's called, that was dumb. All right, I put garage.google.com instead of godaddy.com. So they have an area that's not real heavily they haven't been talking a lot about it, but they talked a lot about it on the phone today. And this is a really cool website and what they're doing over there. They've got it set up so that if you're a small business, there's an area for small business. If you're a techie, or if you're a web professional, This is a place to kind of come and connect with the GoDaddy team. And let me click on the small business section and see what happens here. They've got talk about launching, managing, securing, and even market. And let me back up and see what happens when I click on Web Pro. What happens? They've got information about development, WordPress, clients, and security. And then on the tech side, what do they have? They've got just a bunch of tech articles. So it looks like what's going to happen is starting sometime in August, probably near the end of August, I'm going to be doing some participation with GoDaddy, talking about some best practices, talking about some things I've learned in the 9+ years of using their products and services. So kind of a new outlet for me to be working with the GoDaddy folks. It's I'm not getting any additional sponsorship money for doing this. They've asked me to come on and basically be part of their team that's doing this. Again, no sponsorship, no cash per se. I'm doing it voluntarily, just to let you guys know that. But it'd be kind of cool. I'll be digging through this more when I get a little more time and giving you guys more details. But as always, GoDaddy has. I told my rep on the phone today, what's coming? What are we going to have for August for deals? He said, I'm going to have some good stuff for you. So we'll see what they're going to have available for us. But right now, you really cannot go wrong with the total number of deals that are really available at this very moment. The 32% off code, I did a test. I bought some what did I buy? A .media. I bought a I bought 3 or 4 podcast-specific domains. I think I bought podcast.services, a few podcast domains, and the Go 32 off 1 code did not work. But the Go 25 off 5, the 25% off my order, did work with the new top-level domain. I had assumed that the 32% code would. It did not. But the 32% code still works on hosting and a variety of different other services. So Go 32 off 1 for 32% off your order. Go 25 off 5, 25% off your order. Discounts include new top-level domain extensions that are out of pre-registration. And, of course, we've got the $1.99 the $1.99.com by using promo code GNC199. I transferred it, and I forgot that I had a domain on a third-party register. And I must have bought this thing a couple of years ago because I was digging through my emails, and I'm like, it was basically, if I buy something like, it will have an S on the end, I will, like network or networks, I will buy the additional domain. And apparently I must have bought it through a third party at an auction or something, because I got this notice said, hey, you need to update. And I'm like, what? And I don't have any domains over there. And I went over there, sure enough, there was one that was sitting there kind of floating. So I transferred it into GoDaddy for $1.99. So I use that GNC 199 code, of course, new.com as well. So I get we've got these dollar deals, and these dollar deals are only good if you purchase the product for a full year. So $1 a month, $12 for the entire year. For WordPress or economy hosting, the 2 codes you can use is Press4 or Geeks12. Those are the 2 codes you can use. And there's some other deals on the deals page at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy that you can find that I want you to take advantage of. Mix and match. If you're going to buy a hosting product, use one promo code. Do that first, and then come in and, depending on what you bought, sometimes you get a free domain with it. If you didn't, then pick up the domain with another promo code. So sometimes it pays off to have more than one order, and use those codes effectively to save the most amount of money. And we want to thank GoDaddy for being a sponsor here. And I look forward to my participation in whatever we're going to do in August with them, and maybe a Google Hangout and some other stuff. I'll let you guys know when that's going to happen. But one thing is important. I have a new contact now. Before, when Warren Edelman was basically before he became CEO after Don Parsons left, Warren was my contact at the office of vice president. He was basically working in the office of the president, and he was my contact. I was able to basically reach out to him when he was still CEO. But since he's no longer with that role at GoDaddy, I've kind of been in between of having an advocate. And now, once again, I have an advocate over at GoDaddy, someone that I can reach out to directly that has the exact ties to the people that we need to reach in case one of you have a problem that can't be resolved through a normal tech support call, or if you've had a bad experience or anything. I want to hear that. And that you should send me an email at geeknews@gmail.com. I'll forward it to this new contact. He's promised to make good and make sure that goes to a supervisor or someplace that is going to get some recognition, and then you'll get some additional contact or whatever. And that's part of the beauty of being using my promo codes and being part of the show. Okay, so enough on that. Let's move on to the next topic here at hand. And let me bring up my little stack of stuff I've got to talk about, which isn't a lot tonight before we get into the, you know what? Oh, man. Those of you that are, I wish all of you could be right here in the studio with me right now. Oh, my God. And this has happened on previous shows before. The night jasmine has opened up. I have a night jasmine bush right outside the studio, and the trade winds are back, and I get a little breeze in here, and I get in this waft of, if I could bottle this and sell it, I could sell it for, I'm not kidding you. Nature produces the most beautiful smells, sometimes the worst, but this particular night jasmine is incredible. No perfume, no spray will ever match what's coming in the window and hitting me in the face right now. And it's kind of like you just want to run out the door and stick your face in this plant and go, you know, I wish you could smell it. I really wish you could. It's incredible. Going to make me for a very good mood throughout the show tonight. So that's cool. All right. Enough of me, smelling the flowers here. This was a meeting week. Man, it was meeting, all good meetings, business meetings, lots of stuff going on. And I made a command decision a couple of days ago. We're ramping up and looking for some help at Raw Voice, basically looking for some podcasters and stuff. But there's some stuff I do here that I kind of called grunge work, where I got to dig through reports. I got to do sorting. I've got to do some verification of shows, and just some stuff that just eats my time. And my son was looking pretty bored the other night, and I was like, hey, you want to make some money? Are you ready to go to work for your old man? And he's like, money? Well, how much is it going to pay? And I told him, and he says, really? And I said, yeah. I said, but you can't be Facebooking. You can't be texting your girlfriend. You have to, when I give you this task, you keep track of your hours. I'll monitor the QA, what you're doing, but you have to work. And if I find you tweeting or texting your girlfriend or whatever, or looking at your phone when you're not supposed to be, I'm going to dock you 30 minutes. That's just how it's going to work. And he's like, really? If I look at I said, just put your phone over in a corner. I said, if you want to take a break, I said, you're allowed to take a break, but not on my time. And so he was put 2 hardcore nights in. I had these big reports that needed to be worked on. It had taken a couple hours with him to explain what was going on. Yes. It's like, hopefully I've got a mini-me because I'm going to be using him a lot, and allowed me to do a couple things I really get kind of caught up this week. It was good. So technically, my son is working for me. We'll see where this goes. My daughter's never really had an interest in doing the grunge work. I don't know. It takes a lot of concentration. Maybe that's just not her thing to sit in front of a computer. But he had the tenacity to do so, and it was beautiful because he was getting paid to do it. And number 2, I'm like, I'm going to give as much I can give you. And I told him, I says, really, if you were graduated, I said, I could probably give you 40 hours a week. And this is Raw Voice stuff. It's not Geek News Central stuff. So Raw Voice is paying that bill. And so he's, kind of like, all of a sudden, it's the prospect of making a little extra money is good. So I'll keep you advised on how that goes. We'll see if he keeps the pressure up. Tonight he's doing League of Legends, so he's goofing off tonight, but that's okay. They not have to have a little play and a little work and a little play and a little work. That makes people happy. Okay, so about ready to go back on my transformation full time. I told my wife I might do a 20-day stretch, and we were looking at the total amount of supplies we had here, and I don't think I can quite do 20 days with what I've got left in the transformation drink and the amino acids and everything else. So I'm going to order some additional stuff. I know a couple of you that have a part of the show have ordered. Continue to see some orders coming in. And I know there was some confusion. If you get to the checkout counter and it doesn't look like they've given you the $50 discount, there's the promo code podcast at myperium.com/podcast. Using that URL was supposed to lock in your discount, but someone had some trouble. So just use the podcast code to claim and save you some money. Save you $50 is what it will on your first order. But I keep you advised on that. Still hovering right now, 2.9, 2.10 weight wise, trying not to go up, trying to stay right at that point. Also want to talk about the Elder Divide. The Elder Divide show launched. Matter of fact, and I haven't had a chance to get it set up yet, but Todd produced the first show last night and got it up online. And we got our iTunes approval, so I got to get that linked up in the system. But in this first edition, like I said, he talked about cell phones and stuff for some elderly folks, basically for folks that are, that elderly generation. But there's a lot of good stuff in here for folks too. If you're looking for stuff for family members, ways to get them cell phones that are a little easier to use and so forth. Some pretty good tips here at elderdivide.com. And of course, the show is the Elder Divide. And no new template yet. And there is a good reason for it. I can't go into it, but hopefully we'll have something here very, very quickly. It's done. It just has to be implemented. It's a little bit frustrating, but I have to be patient with the situation that's going on. So we'll talk about that when we can. Also, what I did is you guys came in and we've had a couple of new, basically GNC 1000 folks have basically come in and started supporting the show at new levels. And also I want to recognize those that are at existing levels. And I want to thank the new Kahuna, Michael. Kahuna Michael, thank you for your monthly contribution at the Kahuna level. And we want to thank Warrior Curtis for his monthly contribution. And, of course, Ohana David as well. But the GNC 1000, information on that can be found at geeknewscentral.com/insider. And I did make one change. I was kind of looking at my levels that I had created. We really needed to change that $1,000 a year level to the Warrior console. And I'm still tweaking that a little bit for those higher levels because, it takes a big commitment for someone to contribute that type of money to the show. And, of course, we're hoping the value for value here is what encourages you guys to do so. 2 shows a week with lots of great tech content, and we hope to entertain you. And that's the most important, and respect your time. And speaking of respecting your time, we'll get into the content here in just a second. But Samsung contacted me. I don't know if they saw the write-up I did on the Samsung tablet or what, but they're, and I had already talked about my wife and children getting Samsung Galaxy S5s, and Samsung sending me a Samsung Galaxy S5 to review. It's on the Sprint network. I was kind of, okay, yeah, we'll take one to review. I'll use your data for a couple of weeks. So anyway, that should be arriving via FedEx here in the next day or so. So I'll have a little more, because they don't want to give me their phones. I'll get time to play with one full time here for a week or so, because I think that's the phone I'm going to go to when I make the jump if the iPhone turns out to be a bust in their update. All right, so that's it, and just chit chat stuff here. Let's get into the content. Let me close a couple of windows, and then we'll get right into the stack. And I got a great stack for you today of content. Let me go over here, and a couple of funny things to begin with. And my daughter takes a lot of selfies, and it really kind of it's a little annoying. I'll be honest with you. I'm not, I maybe take 1 or 2 selfies a year, but Gizmo, folks, there's a mirror now that will take a selfie and it'll post them online for you. And you can take a selfie every day, and this is a mirror for you if you're self-indulged that you have to have a selfie every day. Of course, it's called Selfie which is an abbreviation for the Self-Enhancing Live Feed Image Engine. But at least they made it with some sort of acronym. Staying true to its name, the selfie mirror takes your selfies without your outstretched arm or that monopod showing up in the frame. It's powered by a Mac Mini, hidden on the other side. The mirror is equipped with a webcam and LED lights that are connected to an Adreno chip, which functions as your timer. All you have to do is say cheese, and voila, the mirror takes a snapshot and posts it to your social media profile in a snap. I'm not kidding you. They've got this. They're not selling them. I think it's a self-promotion thing, but it's... I just laughed at this, and I'm like, someday someone's going to be looking back at all the millions of pictures that were created in this early age of, this selfie revolution, and these people are going to like throw up because they're like, why were these people taking so many pictures of themselves and not the rest of the world? That's the question. But geeks got to have a little fun too, and I'm going to tell you, there's not a self-professed geek that is in existence that would not want to have their own flux capacitor. You guys know what that is? The flux capacitor? Back to the Future that was in the DeLorean? Yes. You can have one now. It's going to set you back $24.99, and you can plug it into your cigarette lighter. And it also doubles as a USB charger as well. Don't worry, you're going to get a little action out of that. But if you want to pick one of these up, $24.99 is what it's going to cost you. And, of course, it's from ThinkGeek. They always come up with some cool stuff. But you want to play the Marty McFly role? Hey, there you go. Get the flux capacitor USB car charger. And I just had to share. That was just something that I saw tonight, and I was like, oh, gotta have it. I do want to talk just a little bit about copyright, though, and this is something I'll probably talk a lot more with Rob Greenlee on Saturday on the New Media Show. But YouTube star Michelle Phan has been sued over copyright breach. And this is going to turn ugly. They're looking for a lot of money. So when you're out there and you're putting stuff on YouTube, be very, very careful about the music you use in your videos. It's just general stuff. You may not get whacked, but just don't take a chance. And because it could cost you a lot of money, it really could, or even a banning of your account. I don't know how she got away with it for so long without her account being flagged and basically taken out. That's what they've done to me when I've had a couple of small instances, because we were running news stories and stuff on here that we were playing the live videos that they flagged us for. So that's something you don't want to happen on your YouTube account. Also, if any of you are true engineers out there and you got a hankering to build some stuff, Google's offering $1 million prize for anyone who can build a better power inverter. And I think all of us that are in the electronics industry or have worked in the electronics industry understands what's going on there. They're looking for more efficiency in power inverters. And they're willing to spend or award someone a lot of money to build one with a higher efficiency. And it's not only just for stuff in computers, but it's also just normal grid stuff. And I'll have a link up in the show notes for all of you to check out. Drones are underneath a lot of pressure right now, and the president actually has said he's going to come out with some presidential guidance on drone usage and privacy. But in Wisconsin, a model drone was used to locate an elderly man in Wisconsin who had been missing for 3 days. Now, search teams using dogs, helicopters, and volunteers had combed the countryside around Fitchburg, Wisconsin, seeking to find this elderly gentleman. And the drone found him. This gentleman had Alzheimer's about 20 minutes after its operator joined the search. He was spotted stumbling around in a bean field by the drone that was flown by a gentleman by the name of David Lesh, who usually uses the craft to make videos for his skiing and snowboarding business. and he was in the town visiting his girlfriend's family. But so he found this guy, and so that's pretty cool. And I don't know how far he had flown the drone before finding him, but this case comes just as the FAA has lost a court case brought against by a Texan firm, which had been using small drones in its rescue operations. So we know that EquuSearch was banned from using drones by the FAA, citing rules back dating from 2007 that barred commercial use of unmanned aircraft. So anyway, glad this gentleman was found, and it just shows that drone technology isn't always about droning someone. It can be used to find someone, which is cool. I'm talk a little bit about Verizon. I'm heavily invested in Verizon here. Verizon MiFi. Kids are on Verizon phones. My company provided iPhone is on Verizon, so they definitely cash in amongst the business pays for one. I pay personal, and the other business pays for the other one. It's definitely, for a better word, Verizon gets their skin out of me. But apparently Verizon is monetizing mobile data plans better today than its rivals, according to a new report from the Consumer Intelligence Research Partners. What's going on is Verizon has been more effective in eliminating people on unlimited data plans. They made that change in 2012. Those folks have been grandfathered, but little by little they've been dropping off. So with fewer people on unlimited data plans, Verizon has been able to charge its customers, obviously, for the data that they're using instead of that flat fee. And so they are definitely scoring a lot more. It's part of their ability to earn more money on a per customer basis. And so here's an interesting dealio here. Average customer monthly bill by mobile carrier. So I'm going to look at the high percentage down the line. Well, it's $50 to $100 AT&T, 43%, 41% Verizon, 39% Sprint, T-Mobile 40%, and others another 15%. Now compared to $100 to $200, 41% by AT&T, 37% by Verizon, 47% by Sprint, 27% by T-Mobile, and 2% other. Now this is where it really makes a big difference over $200. So AT&T makes 5% of its revenue from customers over $200 a month bill. Verizon 14%, Sprint 0%, T-Mobile 3%, and others 0%. So if you see that, what's really going on there is that Verizon's got a 14% advantage over everyone on the total bill amount. Now, by a majority, just by a couple of points, most people have a cell bill between $50 and $100. I can guarantee you mine, with my kids and my wife having a phone, is about $150 is where ours comes in for 3 phones on a 10 gig plan shared between them. All right, the FCC is obviously closed taking comments about net neutrality, and a lot of commentary continues to come in about what probably will or will not happen. And I know that there's some of you that are in this audience that don't believe in Title II. In other words, they don't think that the Comcast and Time Warners of the world should be classified as a Title II company or group. Now, what Title II does is it basically goes way, way back. Title II originated in the 30s. And it's basically common carrier status. And there's a bunch of rules that get kicked in when some group or organization or company is basically given a Title II status. The big broadband companies do not want to be labeled or classified as a Title II, because then the FCC is going to have a much bigger stick and be able to enforce things like net neutrality, no fast lanes, and that kind of stuff. So really what Title II means in plain English is that it's really puts the internet providers underneath some obligations, which cover everything from price caps, closed captioning, emergency services, have all seemed to always apply to folks with common carrier status. And of course, those have been associated up to this point by wireline phone companies and placed restrictions on how they run their business. So, Comcast and Verizon, again, don't want to live under Title II. They want to continue on as information services, which is under a different part of the law, which is Title I, which on papers involves a lighter regulatory load. But what's really going to happen here is, up to this point, the FCC has really got a stick, and it's shaking it and it's saying, don't do that. And the internet service providers can say, oh, yes, I can. Whereas if they were basically classified as common carriers under Title II, it'd be the difference of carrying a stick and carrying a baseball bat from an effective standpoint and being able to regulate them and so forth. I've been pretty much an advocate of less government regulation is probably good. More government regulation is generally bad. But in this instance, I have to waver a little bit on my thought process here. Even the EFF has taken the position that the FCC should use its Title II power to bring broadband providers to heel. And again, this is a declaration from a group that has been long suspicious of government regulating the internet, and probably came as a surprise to many that they actually would do that. According to the EFF, Title II is necessary to stop the future where big ISPs can give special fast lane treatment to websites they like or that pay them, and slow down small sites like mine or ones tied to their competitors. Comcast, for instance, might one day decide to give a special boost to its tech site RE code while slowing down readers' access to Geek News Central. The EFF isn't the only one calling for Title II. CEO of Kickstarter recently warned that fast lanes could impede the next generation of web services from emerging because of a future Facebook. Now, some people said, let's give them a Title II light and really, write out some of the things they would have to comply with. But I don't know if that's effective either. And those of you that are up to speed on this, do you think the FCC is going to even consider giving internet service provider the Title II classification? Honestly, based on who's on the board, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. This is largely a political board, and the folks that sit on it came from the industry. Chairman Tom Wheeler, he holds the ultimate card in Title II, and he's a former cable lobbyist. And he's obviously beholden to the man. He's not at the head of the FCC because he was a podcaster. He was part of the coalition that doesn't want to be associated with Title II and don't want fast lanes and so forth. So we'll see. I know I've been hounding this for a while, but you guys got to keep the pressure up. Keep the pressure up with your congressmen, your representatives, your state representatives. Keep the pressure up, okay, on these issues. If you don't want them to have Title II, there needs to be some laws put in place to, make sure net neutrality sticks for all of us. Moving on to a state issue, an ISP group has threatened suit against the FCC if they try to come in and change state law, insisting that there's some protecting states' rights. The rather official-sounding National Conference of State Legislatures this week sent a letter to the FCC saying that it intends to file a lawsuit if the agency acts to preempt state bans on community broadband builds. Now, we know this is the one thing that FCC Tom Wheeler proclaimed several times he intends to take actions against such bans, which are usually written and lobbied by incumbent ISPs eager to thwart the faster, cheaper services such networks can provide. And two groups have filed basically letters with the FCC, basically saying, hey, help us. And one of those is the folks out of Chattanooga out in Tennessee, and there's another group out of North Carolina, and that's where a lot of this battle has been taking place. So we'll see if the FCC win and if they ever rule on these requests. So this is another battle we're going to be watching as time goes forward. As I've said many, many times, I'm a huge, huge, huge proponent of community broadband. I think it's fantastic. All right, over at the independent.co.uk, check this out. Supposedly, the NSA tracks any person who has interest in using research privacy software, or any user who researches privacy software online. According to leaked source code of the U.S. agency's Keyscore software, individuals search for information about anonymizing services such as Tor, have their IP addresses logged, and can be flagged for further monitoring. Tor, sometimes known as the Onion router, is perhaps the most popular form of anonymizing software used online. It bounces users' browsing activities around a large network of computers known as nodes for making it difficult to trace. Of course, the software was originally funded by the U.S. military and still receives money from the U.S. State Department. It's used worldwide by political dissidents, human rights activists, journalists, and the merely privacy conscious. So apparently, just looking for that, I've played around with Tor a little bit. I guess I'm being tracked. Hey, one of the coolest articles I saw today, and this is really switching gears here a little bit, and those of you that are listening, you need to see this. Eye tracking has been in play for a while, and manufacturers use it, the car companies use it, internet companies use it. They want to see what you're looking at when you look at a web page, look at an advertisement, look at a car, you name it. They want to see what your eye patterns are. And the folks over at Business Insider have produced some of the results of tracking that happened when basically people were looking at images or ads. And for example, here's and I describe the ad for you. It's a beautiful young lady that's sitting at a table, and floating off to the side is a bottle of perfume. And it shows people that have a look at the woman's face, then their eyes drift largely over to where the perfume is, and a few other choice spots. There's also some eye tracking on a Coca-Cola ad on what happens and what people look at during the advertisement. Even Doritos advertisements and where people are looking. Even more interesting is they've done studies in supermarkets. What you look at when you look at the meat in the freezer. The number one thing was people looked at the cut of meat. The number two thing was they looked at the label, probably to look at the price. And number three, they looked at a sticker that was on there as well. So I think we all could kind of agree when we're looking inside in the freezer at the supermarket and looking at a steak or something. We look at the how much fat's on it, the marbling, what the look is, and we prepare ourselves for the sticker shock to see how much the price is. And oftentimes looking for the date too. Another one was in a grocery store where shoppers were mostly looking at the prices when they had similar type products. Shampoo section was talking about how people were looking at shampoo. Again, this is all done by folks looking at using eye tracking while they were looking at specific items. And one thing that was kind of cool was they did a difference between men and women. And looking at a beautiful young lady in a swimsuit, not super revealing, the men were heavily focused on the face and then lightly glanced down and then other places in the ad, whereas the ladies looked at the woman's face, then largely at the woman's stomach, and then a couple other places on the ad. So this is kind of interesting to see the delta, and I thought the results would have been just a little bit different here based on the subject material. And then again, there was some other tracking done in, I guess for a better word, people dressed with less clothes and people were looking. Baseball players, and there's all kinds of cool stuff done here. And there's some stuff that I was kind of like, okay, really? They're looking, guys are looking there, and the women are looking. It was really, to me, it's kind of like, wow. I was kind of surprised about that. Storefronts, tablets, websites, clothing ads, and so forth, makeup stuff. And it really shows you what marketers are doing now to keep their advertising focused so that when you are, when you're basically looking at something, they're, how they're trying to sell to you and advertise to you. And there were some very cool things about banner blindness and how people weren't even looking at banners. And I thought that was pretty slick. But it also showed the some results on Google as well on how that worked out. But Facebook and how we scan Facebook, sporting events, whole science between that. So interesting stuff indeed. Anyway, the link will be up in the show notes for all of you to check out. And those of you that are listening, you want to look at this. And just, I'd like to hear what you guys think about the eye tracking software that they're using and how they're using everything now to basically draw our attention to one place or another on a web page or at the television and so forth. All right, a more techie note, and this is something that will happen transparently to you. Google is switching Chrome to its homemade boring SSL to make its browser safer. Google has exhausted a lot of resources patching up Open SSL, so much, in fact, that the company is elected to create its own fork, aptly named Boring SSL, and preparing to move the platform to Chrome. Mountain View recently worked this new implementation to its latest Chrome build. As indicated by its name, OpenSL is an open source software used for secure connections. And of course, several security holes in OpenSSL recently led to the now infamous Heartbleed scare that worked a large portion of the world into a frenzy, which even we had to spend a couple of days working to make sure we were shored up. Also, there's a great article on Wired talking about how hackers hid money. How the hackers hid a money mining botnet in the clouds of Amazon and others. And I read this thing and I'm like, this is really interesting. And they were using free trials. They were using low-level servers to do some mining do some bit mining essentially. And they figured using some tools, they're able to create about 1,000 different cloud computers that would have been capable of earning about $1,700 a week in developing these type of Bitcoins simply by maliciously running these things for free, not paying a penny for them, using someone else's electricity and overhead. And they talked about it, and they only did this for a very short time, but they said these services could be used against them. You could go out and use someone's resources to essentially earn a lot of money. And I'll have to hand it to them. Racking up $7,000 a month in essentially free money by basically using some services for free that were designed for developers to use to do testing. That I wonder how much it took them to sit there and say, should we just keep on cashing the checks, or should we report this? But it is an interesting storyline here that they go through, and I give them credit for shutting it all down and not costing companies any money. Again, they did it for a short time to prove as a concept. And I guess we're very successful. All right, on Uber Gizmo, there's a design for what's called a wheel treadmill. This concept could help deliver more juice to your home. And basically what it is many of us have a treadmill in our home. And, this is a different type of treadmill. This is a treadmill that kind of looks like a tire, and you're in the middle of it. So you need a little overhead room, obviously, to make this thing work. But basically, you run in it. As you run in it and build speed, you basically create power. So nice concept. Don't know how much it would cost. Probably take everyone in the house running 24 hours a day to pay for the stupid thing, but you might generate a little power in the meantime. Microsoft has a video explaining quantum computing in a way that most of us can understand. If you're kind of confused on quantum computing, you definitely want to check this video. I'll have a link in the show notes for you. Of course, we all know that out in the West Coast, there's a severe drought going on. It's really bad news for California and Nevada and in many parts of the country. Really west of the Mississippi are pretty dry. So, and the NASA has made an underground water map to see just how bad the drought is, and the news is bad. With 33.5% of the United States in drought conditions, it's just getting drier, and these maps are pretty eye-opening. So, even in Hawaii here, a couple of our islands, the Big Island and Maui, are pretty dry right now. Oahu's it's gotten even rain during the summertime this year, which is weird. So we're really not hurting. But they talk about the aquifers and so forth and what's going on and the levels that are down. And they even use satellites to come up with some pretty cool images on how the drought looks like from space. And it needs to rain out west. It really, really does. And the reservoirs they're going to be in a very serious situation. They already are, if they don't get some rain out on the West Coast. All right, I'm always cool when I'm always excited when I find a video of some sort of new military item. It's just fascinating to see where technology is going. But this is one that I wasn't too excited to see because the Soviets have developed it. It's the fastest cruise missile in the world, and they show this thing launching underwater, coming out of the submarine and then taking off at Mach 3. And so this is a pretty cool video they got. The Russians released a whole test video that shows all this stuff. And any of you folks that are in the military or previous military that listen to the show or interested in military hardware, you're going to watch the video on this and watch this thing hit the target. And of course, the United States and other countries have some of these type of weapons as well, but just the diversity of this thing was pretty incredible for me when I was watching the video. All right, Amazon announced second quarter sales up 23%. They grossed $19.34 billion. Sadly, they still lost money. They may have lost as much as a $500 million. And their stock got hammered today for it. But net sales increased 23%, which is pretty good in the second quarter compared with the $15.7 billion in the second quarter 2013. And so they still lost a bunch of money. They say operating loss was $15 million in the second quarter compared with operating income of $79 million second quarter 2013. The favorable impact from year-over-year changes in foreign exchange rates throughout the quarter on operating loss was $31. Net loss was $126 million in the second quarter, or 0.27 per diluted share, compared with $7 million or 0.02 per diluted share in the second quarter 2013. And they blame some of it on the phone and the hit they're taking for the phone that they're launching right now. So we'll see where this leads. But Amazon, I think they just got a lot of irons in the fire, and they're going to turn profitable at some point. But they have been doing a lot of heavy competition in the cloud space. Some of the stuff that we do at Raw Voice requires some pretty heavy hitting stuff, and we're continuing to see reductions in price in the products and services we've used over there from time to time. And it's always good to get the same thing for less. And you don't get that very often with any company, but in the cloud space, it does happen. The Pirate Bay has launched a mobile site, and they're teasing more expansions. This is the first time they've really had a major design overhaul in nearly 10 years. So the mobile bay is the first in a series of expansions. And one thing's for sure, they've tried to take the Pirate Bay out so many times, it still stands. All right, Gmail for iOS has been updated with an insert from Drive and save to Drive. So this is pretty cool. So you get an email in, and I've had this happen oftentimes. I've been on my iPhone, and I'm like, crap, I want to save this thing. So they got the ability now to either grab and insert a file into an email or to send it to Google Drive. Either way, so this is pretty cool stuff for Google iOS, and insert and save media. I think they got the TV like cranked up in the other room. Very unusual, because I can hear it in the background here, or someone's listening to a video on something close to my door. If you guys hear that, it's driving me crazy. So I'm gonna maybe do something here. Hang on a second. Down. A certain 10-year-old had the TV cranked. Oh my gosh. I opened the door. He's like, immediately grabbed the remote control to turn it down. Gosh, yeah, out loud. Anyway, Comcast employees are still, they're kind of spilling the beans on how life is on their end of the phone. And there's been a bunch of parody posts put up. And one guy says, I feel numb to making our customers happy now since I work tech support at Comcast and all I care about is my next paycheck. Another person says, I understand the frustration as their service sucks. I'm a rep for them. Another guy says, I'm a tech support at Comcast and I'm sure we hate you as much as you hate us. Wow. I work for Comcast. Let me tell you something that's the worst company ever. Comcast. It's just, these are workers. Honestly, I was a good worker for Comcast. A lot of reps aren't, so don't feel bad. But Comcast sucks. Get something else if you can. They screw you over big time. And it's just on and on and on, people making posts. Now, I don't know if these are real people, but this was on Gizmodo, supposedly from Comcast reps, people that work there. It's a little interesting. You're working for someone. If you don't like your job, time to get another job, don't you think? As I said earlier, the president is about to issue executive order on drone privacy, and he's doing this in order to develop privacy guidelines for commercial drones operating in U.S. airspace. And that order would put the National Telecommunication Information Administration, an arm of the Commerce Department, in charge of developing the guidelines. NTIA would bring together companies and consumer groups to hammer out a series of voluntary best practices for unmanned aerial devices, and of course there'll be comment period for the public as well. There apparently was a bitcoins.com domain that was going to be auctioned off today. The bitcoins.com domain auction was called off because of some issues going on with a federal judge asking it to stop, and some concerns whether or not the company was allowed to sell. They're trying. This is tied back to the folks at Mt. Gox, and they're trying to raise about $1 million from the sale of the domain name. I don't know if this is the liquidators or who's doing this, but for now, that domain is not going to be sold until the legal issues are cleared up. All right, Apple is supposedly releasing OS X Yosemite in October alongside a 4K desktop and a 12-inch Retina MacBook. Now, a 4K desktop. That's pretty big. The Retina display MacBook has been rumored for a long time. And the way the laptop market is going, it seems Apple is going to have to release a Retina-grade Ultrabook sooner or later. And it's already getting tougher for people to make excuses of the old Airs 14x900 screens. And you can easily find Windows machines at 2560 or 3200 by 1800. Now, talking about a 4K all-in-one, I don't know. That's a big stretch to go 4K on a desktop model. I guess we'll see, but maybe they'll surprise us. I don't know. Are you a WordPress user? I am. Anytime I see a headline that says 50,000 sites hacked through WordPress plugin vulnerability, it raises my my eyebrows a little bit. You're praying, please, not let me be the one that has a bad plugin installed. But the security flaws located in Mail Poet Newsletter, a plugin, previously known as Ysija Newsletter, and it was fixed in version 2.67, released on July 1st. If unpatched, allows attackers to upload arbitrary PHP files on the web server and take control of the site. So Mail Poet newsletter has been downloaded almost 2 million times from the official WordPress plugin repository, and they've been really going after sites heavily. So over 50,000 sites infected so far. May take a complete fresh reinstall of your site, which would really suck. Great article over on Ars Technica talking about watch listing guidelines. You get to the airport, you go to check in and say, sorry, sir or ma'am, you can't fly. You're on a watch list. And that's the beginning of a process that for the majority of folks is never ending. But apparently the federal government has finally released, or something was leaked. It's a 166-page document marked as sensitive security information published by The Intercept. And it comes amid increasing skepticism over how people are placed on or get off the U.S. terrorism database, like the no-fly list that bars people flying to and within the United States. So check this out. This should make your eyebrows go up a little bit. The manual makes clear that reasonable suspicion for placement is necessary, but what that means is anybody guess. The manual says this: to meet reasonable suspicion standard, the nominator, based on the totality of the circumstances, must rely upon articulable intelligence or information which, taken together with rational inferences from those facts, reasonably warrants a determination that an individual is known or suspected be or has been known engaged in conduct consisting in preparation for, in aid of, or related to terrorism and or terrorist activities. The document urges officials to take into account what somebody says on social media like Twitter and Facebook. In determination whether reasonable suspicion exists, due weight should be given to the specific reasonable inferences the nominator is entitled to draw from facts in light of his or her experiences, and not unfounded suspicion or hunches, although irrefutable evidence or concrete facts are not necessary to be reasonable. Suspicion should be as clear and as fully developed as circumstances permit. Now, the Center for Constitutional Rights sent a statement that it was dismayed by the manual. As attorneys who represent individuals on the no-fly list, we are dismayed to read the details of how the government places people on the list based on criteria that are hopelessly vague and require no showing of threat to aviation security. It appears that the introductory disclaimer in the guidelines that watch listing is non-exact science is a gross understatement. The document reveals that the threshold for labeling someone as a terrorist and banning them from flying indefinitely is shockingly low. It appears that the only requirement is that, in a federal agent's judgment, a listed person pose a threat of engaging in terrorism, defined so broadly that it could readily include civil disobedience. Anywhere in the world, that leaves our clients with the impossible task of proving that they will not somehow become terrorists in the future. There are some loopholes as well. For example, spouses and children and associates of a known or suspected terrorist may also be watch listed. And the manual expressly says that confirmed dead people may also be watch listed if a terrorist suspect is using that identity, or if travel documents from a dead suspected terrorist have not been recovered. There's about how many agencies? Let me see here. Last year, there's 470,000 people nominated. The agency rejected 4,915. I guess there's about 13, according to this article, about 13 agencies that can submit to the watch list. Federal agencies have nominated more than 1.5 million names to terrorist watch lists over the past 5 years alone. Yet being a terrorist isn't a condition of getting on a roster that is virtually impossible to be removed from. So pretty wild stuff there, yeah? You say the wrong thing online, you're not flying no more. No sirree, Bob. You are going to be walking. No bus for you, anything. Okay. I'd love to hear your guys' comments on that. Hey, Uber in France is having some trouble. New French law could force Uber drivers to return home after every fare or go back to their point of business. And they won't be able to post where they're located so that someone looking to flag an Uber car can get one from a very close location. This is all driven by taxi firms that benefit from state-sponsored monopoly for hailing a cab on the street because they pay for those licenses. So French are trying to come after Uber as well. Hey, do you have a Chromecast? If you've gotten a Chromecast owners, you get a 90 days free to play music all access. You know, it's real easy. You get you have a $35 streaming stick, get a free 90-day trial of Google Play Music All Access. And this promotion is only being offered to non-subscribers. You probably got one of those cancellation clauses in there, but if you want 3 months free music and you have a Chromecast, you can apply. U.S. Social Security Administration spent nearly $300 million on an IT project that hasn't went real well. Should we be surprised? The government's really good at spending our money, aren't they? Effectively. If you spent $300 million of your company's money and they didn't have some results and something didn't work, I think in some places you would be face down in a ditch somewhere. You know, you wouldn't be fired. You would just disappear. $300 million. Crazy. Hey, USA Today is reporting that a study's out that says the Earth is in the midst of the 6th mass extinction. So get your survival kits out. We're all in the middle of the Earth's 6th mass extinction. Link will be up in the show notes. At the same time, over on The Verge, and I should have covered this on the prior Uber article, Facebook and Uber are reportedly in talks to put a car hailing in Messenger, the Facebook Messenger app. Lovely. Hey, you applying for a passport anytime soon? I've got one going in for my son. Hey, just so you guys know, too, if you've got a passport and you're planning on going overseas, if your passport's within 90 days of expiring, in some countries you cannot get on the airplane. So make sure you pay attention to the expiration date of your passport. Don't expect to have a passport that's going to expire within 90 days that you're going to be able to go on and go. You might be told, nope, sorry, you're not leaving. So just be aware of that. So my son's passport's expiring, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get one anytime soon. The State Department database has crashed, leading to passport and visa delays. And apparently they got some maintenance issues. And a U.S. State Department database, which is used to issue passports and visas worldwide, has been taken offline, is now operating in limited capacity. The Consular Consolidated Database, which holds tens of millions of visa cases and photographs, has been described by the government as one of the largest Oracle-based warehouses in the world, and it's got some major issues. It just blows. Also, are you a Foursquare user? I think I'm going to abandon Foursquare. They've made a change to their business. They have a new app. No more check-ins. I think I just continue to use Yelp. I use Yelp the most anyway to find stuff. So I think Foursquare's in trouble. Jimmy Kimmel pranked strangers with a fake Apple iTime smartwatch. He got a $20 Seiko, put an Apple sticker on it, and took it out and showed it to people and said, hey, isn't this great? It shows time, gives you the date, even has an alarm. And for 3 minutes and 46 seconds of this video, there's a lot of idiots that talk about this iTime, fake iTime Seiko, as being really amazing. And if it's Apple, it has to be good. You can see some of them kind of questioning it, but just, they wanted to be on video. It's obvious that, they just said, oh, yeah, it looks great. Woohoo. And then I looked at them like, no, that's not a smartwatch, please. All right, Newegg is taking pre-orders for Samsung's first 3D Pro SSD. The 850 Pro SSD is designed for workstations and high-end PCs. This is cool. I looked this up. The price isn't too bad. The 256 gig version of the SSD 850 Pro is available from Newegg now for $199. The rest of the lineup is available by the end of July. Samsung's price for other versions of the 850 Pro are $130 for a model with storage capacity at 128, $430 for a 512 gig model, and $730 for a 1 terabyte model. It's all about the speed, folks. You don't have to have everything on the SSD, but I'm about ready to do some SSD installs here on some older MacBooks. A lot of folks are not happy with the new Surface Pro 3. Of course, Microsoft has tried to build a tablet that can replace your laptop, but a lot of people are saying the keyboard is crap, the mouse is crap. So not a lot of great reviews. My experience with the original Surface was not that positive as well. Okay, Hubble has found 3 exoplanets that, as they looked at them very close, were very, very dry when they expect them to be very wet. And scientists scratching their head a little bit about that. But it's nice to see that they're starting to look at these exoplanets a little closer. And article over on Yahoo, apparently in Amazon's earning report, they said they're spending more than $100 million on original content in the third quarter. So that's big. They didn't say what type of videos they're going to be building, but heck, bring it on. Also, a report is saying that Google has just bought Twitch for $1 billion. And this has been a speculation for a while. But if it turns out that they did do this $1 billion acquisition for video streaming site Twitch.tv, they just spent $1 billion that is a site that is designed for you to watch other people playing video games. I'm sorry if you've watched other people play video games on Twitch.tv, but I just don't get it. I really don't. I really don't understand why people would do that. You know, to me, it's I play games. I understand. I just don't understand. If you're gonna play. You know, don't watch someone else play. Hone your own skills. But it's just weird to me. It really, really is. I don't get it. Someone, if I've insulted someone, I'm sorry, but I just don't understand it. $1 billion. Holy smokes. Incredible amount of money. All right, moving on here. Forget the cloud. Researchers are working on a 1 terabyte memory for smartphones. Apparently, some folks at Rice University are working on such technology. The MIT Technology Review Report have discovered a more practical way to mass produce it. It's basically, this memory is called Resistive Random Access Memory, RRAM. The memory is already being developed by some companies, but it's not an easy or affordable process. However, Rice scientists have figured out how to make RRAM at room temperatures and use far lower voltages. Most importantly, they say they can store 1 terabyte of data in a chip about the size of a postage stamp, and that RRAM is 100 times faster than flash memory. Ooh, so this could add to the Moore's Law issue. Also, the SpaceX folks said during their recent launch of 6 satellites that their actual landing did go well. The Falcon 9 did do what it was supposed to do, and they got a lot of telemetry data, even though it ultimately flipped over in the ocean because that's where they were landing. They basically had very high success. They're very pleased with it, and they're on the march here to at some point be able to land on a platform. All right, a couple of just kind of closer articles. ISPs are spending less on their networks as they make more money off them. There's some study done on how much ISPs are actually spending on their networks compared to cash they're making. And also an article about smartphone car mounts. If you're looking for one, I've got an article that talks about 5 great ones. And, of course, I've reviewed a couple at geeknewscentral.com as well. All right, that's going to wrap us up for content today. A lot of stuff. And let me go into the comments. Did have some stuff come in. I do want to take just a second here again and thank all of you that are basically coming in as an insider, part of our GNC 1000. And getting on the bandwagon. I do appreciate it. I hope that the show brings you value, enough value that you consider coming in and being a supporter. And again, we've got our levels set up so that if you're part of the audience and you're part of the Ohana, it's automatic. That's a given. And if you can't contribute money, please go out and contribute with iTunes reviews. And comment about the site, use the GoDaddy promo codes, all that stuff. As a Ohana member, you can really help the show. If you want to help us financially, coming in at $5 a month, that's the Warrior level. If you come in at basically about $10.41 a month, which is the Kahuna level. At the Big Kahuna level is $250 a month, which is obviously $25 a month. And then the Ali, which is $500. And then if you contribute as much as $1,000 a year, you're going to join our Warrior Council. And then folks that are do a lifetime of at least $5,000 join basically the court here. And all those levels, I'm sure at some point someone will hit those. But we want to set the bar high. We want to be here a long time with you and continue to grow the shows. Elder Divide is one show. We've got 2 new shows that are coming as well. I've kind of delayed this week on bringing those on board as well because of waiting for the new template. But Todd was ready to rock and roll, and we didn't want to hold him up. So definitely get subscribed to his show via iTunes and or share that with your elder family members. And about 50 and above is that probably the target audience for that specific show. Also want to thank Jeff for his email to the show talking about Samsung leaking the Galaxy Alpha. It looks smaller than the S5. So I'll have that link for you in the show notes. I got an email from Rachel talking about there's a new show called the new show Manhattan. Has just posted a new scene on YouTube. The show is about the mission to build the world's first atomic bomb. The clip they released is entitled Computers, and she thought it would be a great thing for our audience to look at. So I'll have that link up for you to check out. I also want to thank Joe for the feedback and also picking up some product at Purium.com, mypurium.com/podcast. It's definitely appreciated. And I think that's all we had for email comments on the show today. But again, I want to thank all of you for your continued support of the show. And fire me an email, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. And send me links and ideas and things that you've seen on the show or you liked or you disliked. And again, thanks to all our insiders and all the HANA out there. We appreciate you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Everyone take care and aloha. And those of you on YouTube, thanks so very much for coming. And the YouTube stream will be going down here in just a microsecond. Take care.